want to start with the big question. What was your reaction like when you got in? Well, two of my friends were sleeping over, and we didn't stay up for the 1:30 when the status update comes. So we'd opened it up, and I think it was 5 in the morning, perhaps, and we had a math exam on that day itself. Right. So, opening it in the morning was, I wouldn't say it was the wisest choice because, of course, it's a very emotional time, but it was great. I had my two best friends with me, and I think we opened at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the entire house freaked out. And I had my sister on video call, and it was a very wholesome moment. Fine. What pushed you to apply to Dartmouth in particular? So I have been at Delhi Public School, Arkipuram, for my entire school life, and I think I was really looking for a liberal arts education on the East Coast side that had, a focus on small class sizes and a really tight knit community as well. Um, a lot of the factors about Dartmouth that it excited me as a person who's into sports a lot was it's a very outdoorsy community. Right. And I mean, there's everything you can do. You can do skiing, hiking, canoeing, whatever you want there. So coming from a hyper competitive space like DPS Arkipuram, yeah. How did Crimson support you in any cultural or societal problems that you might have faced while, again, you have grown up in India? 1,000 kids in one class. Right. It's insane. How did you cope up with that, and how did Crimson help you with that? Of course, it's a very it's quite stressful, I would say, and it's being in that hyper competitive apartment. Oh, sorry, in that hyper competitive environment. And I remember I used to have, these breaks in my meetings with my essay mentor and my ECL, my extracurricular strategist as well, where, we used to begin the session with talking about what's something that excites you in your life right now and what's something that you're grateful for. And I think that just used to get me in a very, peace, calm state of mind to even begin, talking about it. So the first 10 minutes were just really fun. It was catching up on each other's lives. So I feel Crimson made it really fun for me, the entire process. So it was good. And I've seen your extracurriculars are vast. So obviously, ranking your extracurriculars is one of the biggest problems that you might come across when you're applying. Every student does. So how did you go about the process of ranking your extracurriculars in particular? And again, how did Crimson help you with sort of understanding the essence of each extracurricular and what it helps in terms of building your narrative as a person? Right. So, when I think about sort of ranking it on the Common App, I was really looking at the activities I spend the most time on and the ones I was the most invested in. Right. So, there was research I was carrying out with IIT for, almost 2 years. So, of course, and that was like the start of my entire research journey of, uh, the entire question. So I was focusing a lot on STEM education in India and women empowerment. And, I think that was really the biggest activity. That was the start of all of it. So keeping that in mind and keeping that sort of story of what I'd done, what I'd carried out for 3 years, I I did the ranking, and my last two extracurriculars, I decided to keep them fun. I think it's really important that they see a lighter side to you as well. Right. So I play the guitar. I've played it for 10 years now, and I just kept my two extracurriculars about that, about how I enjoy playing the guitar. And I did have some other internships that I'd done in the edtech space, and those, you can always just supplement it in like the additional materials page specific to your school. So I think it's important for the admission officers to see that there's a person behind this application. It's not just a bunch of internships, a bunch of research papers. So I think that was something that was Crimson helped me, realize that I need some diversity on my application as well. Right. And your essays tie up into the same thing as well. Right. I see a pretty creative narrative where you've managed to sort of blend your musical talent alongside your problem solving abilities that you showcase sort of in your extracurriculars. So, how did your essay process look like? Right. So, of course, it's very just to confusing. Build upon that question a little bit more. Yeah. Were you focusing on building a narrative, or was it just you being authentic to yourself? I think, uh, I picked a specific moment in my life, and it speaks a lot about my core values, about who I am as a person. And you're right, I wanted them to see a person behind, the whatever, the 15-20 page document that they see amongst, $100. I wanted them to see me as the person I am. So I was um I was very authentic. I didn't talk about any extracurriculars in my main Common App essay. I chose to talk about my relationship that I have with my mother. I'm very close to her, and I tied up music. That's been a really big part of my life for 10 years now. And I talked about how playing the guitar and how my relationship with my mother has evolved over the years, and how that ties into the person I am today. So talking about the values that my mother gave me and the ones I developed through something I've been doing for 10 years. So yeah, I think it's very important to, you know, pick out something that you feel speaks very strongly about who you are as a person. And Crimson really helped me to my essay mentor. Her name was Georgette. And it's very important to find an essay mentor who really understands who you are as a person as well. It can be difficult. The first few meetings, you're sharing a lot of details about your life that you find it difficult to open up to a person you've barely ever talked to, right? Um, but that's why I think to connect with your essay mentor is really important. And I had a great relationship with mine, and she helped me to look through the lines of what I was saying, that okay, hey Ira, I think this is what you're trying to give across. I think this is what you're trying to tell them. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's right. You can't realize it yourself that this is what I want to talk about. Right. But that way the essay help that I got from Crimson, they really helped me streamline what it is I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I mean, they've somewhat managed to help you breathe life into your accounts, because obviously it is easy to be a very good writer. However, when you get across an experience on an account that's authentic, right, it definitely makes an impression on a person, whether it be an admissions officer, your strategist, or whether it be me. Tying more into that, Crimson focuses a lot on tailor making your application to you. Right. According to that, did you receive any help, or did you sort of focus in particular on Dartmouth and your application to Dartmouth in particular, and sort of tailor make your application to Dartmouth, and follow that approach, or did you do something else? I think, I worked with Crimson for 2 years. And obviously, when, you're working with them, you don't know the stuff that some people do. That, okay, hey, this is going to be the school I want to apply early to. Right. For me, I didn't know that. I picked Dartmouth, towards the end couple of months. I really saw I was a good fit for them. But Crimson helped me, develop my my application towards me, not towards a particular school. And I think that's really important. um, because in general you're developing an application that is strong holistically, and it's not tied to a particular school, but it rather speaks about your story and about who you are as a person, and your interests and your capabilities in one sort of segment, not particularly attached to a specific school. I think for that, the supplemental essays are, really where you can let that shine. Yeah, I guess that just shows the point that a person has to be multifaceted in that sense. And again, as you said, it's your story. At the end of the day, it's more of about what your story looks like instead of it just being an application. Yeah. I know it's hard to put that across on paper. Yeah. But you've obviously managed to successfully do so. But were there times in your journey where you felt hopeless, or maybe even overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work that you have to put into this application to turn it into a story. So how did Crimson help you in that sense? I don't think I ever felt hopeless. Fair enough. You know, I think Crimson just like I said before, having a strong relationship with your strategist is really important. And I had a great relationship with my essay mentor Joy Chad and with my ECR mentor, my extracurricular mentor, Gabriella as well. So like I was talking about before, how they used to reassure me, how it was a very chill setting. It wasn't like I'm sitting in a meeting, with somebody and I need to be, super formal with them. I it was all very comfortable, it was calm, we used to crack jokes about each other, it was great. So yeah.